jeez, that was
Welcome
not
to
good.
Reckoning.
You,
Welcome.
you
What?
okay there, Scott?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Okay. Go ahead.
Please,
Sure.
please intro, Mark.
He's choking on a gummy.
No, I'm actually not.
Welcome to Reckoning, brothers, everybody. I am Mark. This is Josh.
Cheers. I'm Scott.
Scotty, you look good today. I like you in black.
He is pretty.
You know what? I've really noticed when we start these recordings, there's been a lot of you hitting on me lately, and it's not that I dislike it; it's that you're never going to get this, and I feel I should let you know because I don't want to.
You know
I don't wanna,
what's nice about it is as long as he's hitting on you, he's not hitting on me. That's all. That's all I care about.
It's because he's fucking lazy. If you really put the effort in, you could hit on both of us at the same fucking time. I just don't want to get your hopes up. I don't want to be honey dicking you around. I just want to make sure you know.
I'm
Scotty.
sure he's got some new Scott Hots. Go ahead.
There's a great line in a great movie in the film Casablanca, and the line is, "If I were a woman, I should be in love with Rick." And that's just how I feel about you, Scott.
Well said, my friend. I have something to show you. When I came up with this idea, I'm going to admit, I was just a little bit high.
Yeah.
And I might have gone into sunk cost fallacy. That's my little disclaimer. But also, this may make you feel feelings you've never felt before and combinations you didn't think were possible. So, that being said,
Okay.
I'm going to share my screen with you. This is similar to this is all AI, just like, remember our AI episode?
Yeah.
Where I went through everything. So this is the video that I showed you the last one. This is all done with that same process.
In this glass of amber truth, Lord, I seek your face as the smoke rises up like an evening grace. Government spending what they shouldn't spend, but your wisdom, Lord, has no beginning and no end. Oh, the hyperbole circus tries to lead us all astray, but with each sip of whiskey, Lord, I find my way. This is my testimony, this whiskey in my hand, helping me to understand your divine plan. I'll raise my voice and witness when others stay so great side. Light another second, exhale. Oh, Lord, this reckoning's for you. In the circuit, the miller speaks a wisdom that comes from up above, while these DI initiatives lack your perfect love. My rents are improving as I seek your holy light. Through California fires burning in the night, the red tape and the bureaucrats try to blind our eyes, but with each dragon sip, Lord, I see through their lies. When the dust of Babylon settles and your children stand alone, will they remember the gospel of the truth we've always known? Another glass, another prayer to clear away the sin. Your word ain't always easy, but salvation lives within. Academic theories built on shifting sand, while your eternal truth, Lord, helps me understand. With every sip of whiskey, I feel your presence near, cutting through this world of doubt and worldly fear. So I'll keep on testifying till my
Well, that was great, but it makes me look like all I do is smoke and drink and go to church and look at hot anime chicks all the time.
Yeah, I got a couple of comments on that. First of all, that was a Christian song. And what does "Your whiskey makes me feel your presence" have to do with that?
I figured you would have some questions or need some clarification.
Why am I always drinking and going to church, Scott?
I think we need to have an episode about alcoholism.
So, in what I prompted in the origin of this was, so Mark, you, like a lot of people, find Jesus, right, and it helps them. You instead found whiskey, and that helped you as if it was Jesus. But then as I started making the video, I thought, maybe you would spread the word of whiskey Jesus to everybody, and then the angels came down and spread the good whiskey Lord sermon to everyone. And then
Whiskey Jesus.
And you broke down because you were just overcome by the strength of
whiskey Jesus.
Lord.
So there was a thread I saw the other day. It was on X, and it was like, give me all your memes where a guy would say, hell yeah. And one of them was like a dude's, giant truck. Hell yeah. Another one was a dude splitting wood. Hell yeah. And then you got the angel friggin' beers. Hell yeah.
The hot angel. The very attractive angel.
Yeah.
Scotty, do you think you'll be an angel one day?
I correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think humans can become angels in traditional
No, you won't be an angel because you're a Jew. That's why.
Okay, here we go on the Jew shit.
Oh gosh.
Scotty, just so you know, we're eating Nathan's hot dogs tonight just for you.
Do we really have Nathan's hot dogs though?
No.
I don't like Nathan's hot dogs. I think they are an inferior hot dog brand. They're just not very good.
Shut up. I don't like it. Dude, don't say that ever again.
Shut up.
They're not very
You like Hebrew National hot dogs though, right?
I've never had a Hebrew National hot dog.
He likes Eckrich. That's what he likes.
You've never had a Hebrew National hot dog?
No, I've never had one.
What kind of hot dogs do you like, Scott?
I don't.
These kind
Cons.
Yeah.
Eckrich. Yeah.
I don't know. I'll have a good street dog. A good street dog.
What?
Here we have street dogs that have like bacon on them, some kind of crazy white sauce. I don't want to know what it is, but it's delicious. If you're just like downtown.
And they're giving you Nathan's hot dogs, I promise.
Okay, well maybe I do like Nathan's hot dogs. Thanks for calling me out on my lies, Josh. I don't call you out on your lies.
Probably if you like the good street hot dogs, are probably Sabret, which are the Lebanese sausages.
I'll take your word for it. But Mark, sorry, I wasn't trying to make you look like a raging alcoholic. But now watching that again, I can see how you would have that.
As a rule, I don't drink. As a habit, I do, and as a rule, I don't. I started drinking when I was 5. I started drinking and smoking when I was 5 because my dad was a fighter pilot. I looked up to him, and he was, he was like a living god to me. And all fighter pilots back then smoked and drank. Everybody smoked back then, and he smoked filterless Chesterfields, and they had Chesterfields. You never heard of it?
Yeah, I have heard of it. It's just been a long time since I have heard of it.
So, the fighter pilots were over there. We were living in Hawaii, and they had a cocktail party. And you know how little boys get up really early on weekend mornings, and especially if you live in Hawaii, you get up really, really early. And although my father was a fighter pilot and got up early, like sleeping late to him would have been like 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm up before everybody. And I went into the kitchen and and I tasted the leftover strawberry daiquiris or whatever that the wives had, and it was delicious. Love at first sip. And I stuck in. No, yeah. And then I went to the coat rack, the coat closet, and I took the took the major amulets off of my father's uniform, and I got the hat, and then I went and sat in a chair, and I'm getting wasted on strawberry daiquiris, and then I grabbed a Chesterfield, and of course all I'm doing is emulating my father, and I'm sitting there, I'm obviously not inhaling, but I'm smoking, and I'm getting drunk, literally fucking drunk. And my father woke up. I don't know how long I'd been doing this because it's been so many years ago. My father woke up and walked out into the family room, and I'm sitting there with, my father's insignia and the fruit salad, the hat, and I've got a Chesterfield in my hand, and I'm taking a swig of strawberry daiquiri, which is delicious and is making me feel great. And my father looked at me and he goes, "What in the goddamn fuck are you doing?" And I said, "I'm a fighter pilot." He goes, "You're fucking, yeah,
Drunk.
got my ass." So I don't know. I guess the moral of that story is that I've been drinking and smoking since I was five, but not literally. When my dad took me out to dinner with like some aircraft manufacturing, like top brass, like vice presidents stuff. I think it was.
Jeff Boeing and Colonel.
No, I think Westinghouse. I
Northridge.
think Westinghouse makes jet engines for fighter planes, or it was Pratt and Whitney, whatever. And he said, "You want to go out to dinner with me?" And I had met a couple of these guys, and one of them would ride horses at his farm whenever I was in D.C. And I said, "Oh yeah, I'd love to go." And I wasn't. I was barely 18, and parents could order a drink for their kid. When you don't even have to be 18, not in Ohio anyway, because of the tavern owners law. And so we're at this, nice steakhouse, and this is when you could smoke in a restaurant. And my father asked me if I want to drink, and I said, "Yes, please." And the Westinghouse executives were kind of looking at me funny because when
Wait
brought me,
a
like,
second. Are you still 5 years old?
no, I mean I'm like barely 18 at this point.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Right.
See
And
you transitioned without that, so I was a little.
I said it, but you missed it. It's okay.
Okay.
So
My fault. I will.
So,
you
yeah,
know
well,
what?
we're in a
I
state-
edited it, and if you didn't say that, I'm going to give you so much hell. But anyways, please proceed.
Okay, that's cool.
I could be wrong. Please don't give myself
No,
the out of hell. Please
like
proceed.
the Westinghouse executives were younger than my dad. They were like, not. They looked at me when I was having a sip of, bourbon and lighting up a smoke, and and my father goes, "Oh, that's okay. He's been drinking and smoking since he was 5. Don't worry about it."
All right, that is kind of funny. All right.
All right, let's get on with it. Yes.
Scott, you look. I told you before that you look really good in black.
He just doesn't
Here we
have
go.
patience for this anymore. He
Here
doesn't.
we go.
You're going to make Josh lose it. He when he's been drinking, that self-control. Like, remember those times back in the day when I lived there and I would call you confidentially and be like, "Hey, Josh, hit me again." Every time he did that, he was wasted drunk. I was like, "Don't tell Josh," but he hit me again, like really, really hard. And I had, the marks on my face. Every time he was drunk, so just be careful. That's all I'm saying.
Is that true or is that a lie?
He's being sarcastic.
So it's a big story.
Yes. He's embellishing the
You'll
truth.
find out later. Dude, if you misbehave, you'll find out later from Josh whether or not I'm telling the truth. I'm sorry,
How hot
Josh.
is Scott?
Please don't hit me.
How
You
hot
had some
is
questions, I'm sure, to ask us.
I want. That's my first question. How hot is Scott?
Scotty is so hot that radiators fuck Scott and send him flowers in the morning.
Wait, what?
It doesn't make because radiators are hot.
Radiators are hot. Yeah.
Right.
Radiators
But
fuck.
why?
Scotty is so hot that radiators fuck him and send him flowers in the morning.
Yeah, that one's not very good.
I
On to the
transfer
next
the
one.
heat to the
Instant
radiator.
coffee. Scotty is so hot, instant coffee puts him in his cup.
That's not bad. That's
That I
actually
can
fine.
follow. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Scotty is so hot that when is he gonna start calling Scott and Juicy Hamburgers?
You said that one last
Hey,
time.
How
But
hot
that
is
was
Scott?
Exhaust pipes put their mufflers on you, Scott.
Oh,
okay. You're pretty quick. You're pretty quick, man. You're pretty quick.
The band's gonna change its name to Red Scott Chili Peppers.
Ooh, that would be a
That's
good
pretty
date.
good. Oh God, I don't know how am I supposed to respond to that.
The power level 10 button on my microwave says Scott.
We had a few in the chat that I thought were pretty good.
Josh, were you going to ask some
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can. We
Some
can hear you.
Serious questions? Are we ready for those serious questions?
probing?
I think now that we're at 17 minutes, we might be doing a part 2 on this particular one. So if you're ready, are you guys all finished?
Yeah.
You're eating your
Yeah, well,
cheesy
please.
poops?
These are my cheesy poops.
My cheesy poop. Bad kitty. All right. All right. We're going deep real quick. Are you ready?
Mhm.
You
Ready.
ready?
Right.
All right. Scott, Mark, what belief did you once hold strongly that you've completely changed your mind on?
It depends on how far back you want to go. Once that word's carrying a lot of weight in this question. I mean, the obvious thing is I went through a commie phase when I was 18 and 19 years old, and I went hard into the commie phase.
You were
Go
kind of
by
a
the
hippie,
number.
weren't you? You were a little hippie.
I was I wasn't too drastically different when I met
Wasn't
you
a
than
tanky,
now,
though.
comparatively
He
speaking.
was just
Like,
A tank.
a tanky is a committed communist, hardcore Stalinist.
Where's the reference
yeah, I was
from?
one of those.
Tank.
I was one of those. I thought that, yeah, like Karl Marx was like great and all that stupid shit when I was 18 and 19 years old.
Ah, Scotty was a tanky.
What define
Yeah, but it was
tank?
before
I
you
just
guys
told
met.
you.
I went
He's
through it early.
Stalinist.
Means tanky has no reference to modern day times. I want to know why it was called tanky.
Oh, it had to do with, like Soviet tanks, like, overtaking the Eastern European countries.
Okay, that makes sense.
Am I correct about that, Scott?
I have no idea. I would, if I was asked that question on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, I would phone a friend and ask you that question. So I don't fucking know. I have no clue. But yeah, I was a tanky when I was like 18,
No,
19.
I mean,
That
I
would
think
be obvious.
I think it references Soviet tanks rolling into Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Poland.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right.
Before
Warsaw
Mark
Pact.
answers this question,
Oh,
though, I think Josh should
Yeah.
have to answer this one as well, even though he's the one asking the
Yeah.
questions. But please, Mark, proceed. What's your answer?
What's my answer to
The question I just asked.
what belief have I changed?
Did you hold strongly that you've completely changed your mind on? Do you want me to answer?
Yeah,
So I'll throw mine in there. Mine was healthcare. Honestly, as a 20-year-old,
you thought the government should make it free for everybody.
I saw.
You thought.
Can I fucking talk?
No.
He's gonna hit you, dude. Did you not hear what I said? You need to relax, or he's gonna fucking strike you in your face. Let him answer.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this for your
I
sake.
mean, honestly, when I was 18 to 20 years old,
Why can't it be free from the government?
I didn't say it in that inflection, but yes, that
It was
that
more
was more
It was more like, why can't it be free from the
a
government?
little bit higher pitched, and you got to hold your hand out a little bit too. No, I really did have that kind of belief. Initially, it was something that I was of that age where I was about to get thrown off my parents' insurance, and I'm thinking, and I had some pretty liberal teachers in college. I was at Wright State. I was at Sinclair, and there was some pushing, in that direction. So I did have that belief, and over time,
Well, it's very fortuitous, Josh, that the first question was about healthcare because there was a big debate about that this week, and I wanted to rant about it a little bit.
The question was not about healthcare.
not even close to healthcare. But we rounded it out with healthcare, and you still
Remember
haven't
last
answered.
week, Mark, when I said that you're just such
Oh
a
yeah,
politician?
It's what belief? Do I?
You got to answer the question.
I've gone back and forth on abortion.
That's a strong one. That's.
I've gone back and forth on abortion. So I'm very ambivalent about it in a certain way. Like, I think I know enough about biology to know that yes, life does begin at conception. Do I believe that if my 15-year-old daughter gets knocked up by her boyfriend because she made a mistake, that that like a week and a half later, if her and her mom want to go someplace and take care of it, so she's not so she's not having a baby at 15 years old and 9 months or 16. You know,
I struggle with that a little bit, but it's not.
I think everybody struggles with it to a certain degree.
You struggle with the personal responsibility of it, right? It's
so here's what I believe. It's not a carrot and it's not a rabbit. It's obviously a human. So the radical left thinks, calls it, a parasite. It's not life, it's a parasite living inside your body, blah, blah, and they believe that, abortion should be available right up until the moment of birth. And I think that's insane. I never crusaded to overturn Roe versus Wade as far,
but
it was bad law, et cetera, et cetera. So I used to be like, at one point in my life, I was pro-life in that I believed that, yes, abortion should be. At one point in my life, I was pro-life in the same sense the Catholic Church is, right? Like it's basically against it. Period.
The Catholic Church is don't ask, don't tell.
No, that's on.
No, the
Catholic Church is opposed to abortion.
They might be in theology, but they are not in practice.
The Catholic Church is opposed to abortion. That's different than Catholics, individual Catholics. The Catholic Church opposes abortion.
The Catholic Church does in theology, yes, but in practice.
Okay, I don't want to spend too much time on it. So, yeah, I've gone back and forth on abortion.
That's an interesting, okay.
A couple times. What set me off in a debate this week was, so there's a lot of people on the hard left and even in the center left that have made Luigi Mangione a cult hero. And, and the whole thing, and so what the point that I've made to everybody, the point that I've tried to make to as many people as I possibly can is,
I'm waiting for Jack Ruby on that.
So there are Medicaid employees that have denied thousands and thousands of claims. If one of them gets executed on a sidewalk, the people that are preaching that it's good to execute people in private health and in the private health insurance sector are going to have blood on their hands. There is no perfect healthcare system.
No.
Right? No. There just isn't. Right? Ours certainly is imperfect. I could read a couple of headlines to you, and I'll do that in a moment, about British healthcare. The healthcare systems in Europe are imploding. People die every day because of imperfect healthcare systems in Australia, in New Zealand, in Europe. Leftists continue to push this notion that free healthcare is available in all the Western industrialized countries, and we're the only ones that don't have it. And because we have private health insurance along with, government, well, they don't even acknowledge that we have Medicaid, right, which is healthcare for the poor, healthcare for the unemployed, healthcare for the disabled, etc., which we spend hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars on. Anybody who's unemployed, who qualifies as low income, is poor, who's not working, can sign up for Medicaid.
I just want to say this. The problem, you get really mad at the left, as do I, as does Josh. The problem isn't healthcare for the left and their beliefs. The problem is not growing up, right? The young people that have these strong beliefs don't understand nuance and complications that are real, right? Like we understand, like healthcare costs have to come from someplace. It's complicated, right? Money's got to come from somewhere. We can definitely bring costs down and do better things. Let's look at Louis Rossman's right to repair. Anyways, my point is young people don't understand that everything is complicated and requires nuance and that we live in a world of trade-offs and diminishing returns. And they aren't taught that. They go to college and they're not taught that.
Trade-offs, we've talked about that one. And absolutely
we've talked about this many times, but I think that's really what the problem is. And that's why young people are saying stupid shit that pisses Mark off.
Yeah. So what happens is the media pushes a story or social media pushes a story a sad story, an unfortunate story, a tragic story. In this case, what I'm talking about, this 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 recent surge of love for Luigi Mangione was sparked by a story about a guy who has stage 4 lung cancer, and Cigna denied his claim for an experimental double lung transplant, which has never
Double
been
lung
done.
transplant. Ooh.
Yeah, double lung transplant. And so, it got tons of media attention. And it's a terrible story. It's an awful story. If you have stage 4 lung cancer and there is an experimental thing available to you that available if you have, if you can afford it to be. So Cigna will not fly him to this hospital that is doing this, is willing to do this type of surgery. They're not going to cover it. Health insurance companies make tough decisions on stuff like this all the time. And it's no different than a bureaucrat or an overpaid bureaucrat in a government-run healthcare system making a decision like that, right? It's an awful story. What happens nowadays, as opposed to what happened 20 and 30 years ago, when we were growing up and maturing, was it when you heard a story like that, people coalesced together. They wrote senators, they called congressmen, they rallied private charities, charity hospitals to help this person. Now they say they have to go execute another health insurance executive, right? And make Luigi Mangione a hero, right?
And that's insane. These people are all fucking ridiculous.
Well, they're going to get somebody killed, Scott, because these people are.
They already have.
Yeah, and they're going to. It's going to happen again. So if they keep pushing the murder is good, actually, horse shit, until some Medicaid administrator who's denied a cancer claim gets executed on a fucking sidewalk because of your stochastic terrorism, blood's going to be on your hands. You fucking lunatics.
Agreed. I just want to say something less dynamic and emotional. But the real problem with healthcare is just cost. Bring costs down, lives get saved. End of story. Do you agree?
Yeah, I know how to do that too.
There are many people that have Louis Rossman, who I previously mentioned, right to repair.
You're asking the perfect person.
AI medicine.
Huh?
AI medicine, personalized medicine through AI diagnosis. There's going to be a lot of things that help really bring these costs down. That's what's really
for 25 years. I've been advocating for a public hospital system, kind of like what we used to have, that's funded by penny taxes on booze, a small increase in property tax, right? So we used to have a really good public hospital system in this country where poor, indigent, and lower middle class and middle class people could go. Lower middle class and the middle class, had to pay a little something. The poor and the indigent paid nothing. It was a one-stop these public hospitals were one-stops for everything: X-rays, medication, you name it, and they were paid for by counties and municipalities. And the counties and municipalities funded these public hospitals with, 3 cents on every gallon of gas, 8 cents on every bottle of booze, 4.5 cents on every pack of cigarettes. They funded it with sin taxes and in $1.73 additional on your property tax. Now, it's going to cost a little more than that in 2025, right? But what happened was the bureaucrats and the Great Society bureaucrats and leftists and progressives that took over the DC bureaucracy many, many decades ago, what they saw was private hospitals with filet mignon and color TVs, and they saw public hospitals with black and white TVs and meatloaf. And they said, that's not fair. And they tried to fix that. And what they ended up doing was wiping out the public hospital system because they said they didn't call it a two-tier system back then. They said, well, we can have one system for the rich and one system for the poor. And it was done because they wiped out a really great system. Now, yes, back then, did public hospitals, were they perfect? Or were some public hospitals still doing lobotomies in the 1950s? Yes, right? Uh, that you wouldn't have that today in 2025. Obviously, states and municipalities and counties could obviously, build a hospital from their own local tax base that served the public, and you wouldn't have to have a gigantic federal bureaucracy doing it, which, again, as I've said many, many, many times, when you take money from me on Friday afternoon and send it to Washington for all the bureaucrats to get their hands on it, and then you send it back to someplace else, it's a fucking blood transfusion, but you're losing a court on the way. So
Great phrase.
take care of it at home.
I think that's wonderful. I think that's wonderful, man. So you've got a better public hospital system. You've got bringing the costs down. I listened to an interview Barry Weiss interviewed, who's probably going to be the next Surgeon General, Casey Means, who I listened to. I've listened to her before, and I really like her brother, Callie Means. I've been impressed by these people for like a couple years now. Casey Means is really into root cause healthcare.
Yes.
The stuff you eat, your lifestyle. This causes you to need healthcare services, therefore driving the cost up for everybody.
Like
Right?
what kind
Cigarettes. And I don't know if you noticed earlier, Mark, but apparently, according to a video I watched earlier, you basically worship whiskey like a god. So things like this, right? Lifestyle choices, they increase healthcare costs. I mean, so many of us just eat so unhealthy. And I love this idea of just, hey, look, let's not eat this super easy, super bad for you, super processed food. Let's start with something like that. Let's try to live healthier lives, and maybe it should be something that the government does to stress not eating stuff like Pringles like that. I mean, if they're going to do anything, because that's what drives up healthcare too, right? Like, okay, the public hospitals that you mentioned are great,
What
but
kind of processed foods are you
it's
talking about?
better. I'm talking about anything that's not a real food, dude. I'm talking about just eat fucking meat and vegetables and fruit and cheese and other stuff that pretty much any nutritionist can agree on. That's pretty much good for you. Stop eating junk. Stop eating a bunch of sugar. Have some self control. Otherwise, you're going to end up being unhealthy and you're going to feel shitty and you're going to cost us all a bunch of fucking money, because that's just the truth, right? Hey, look, we all have our vices, right? But I don't know, man. Maybe, like you said, the tax on this vice should go towards something that treats people who use this vice. So at least the money's coming from the cause and the source.
I don't
You know
have
what I'm
any idea
saying?
what he's talking about.
You're all over the place. All right. Hey, I got one more question. We're at 35 minutes. I want to ask this question. We're probably going to have to extend this particular episode into a larger episode, because I have a feeling if this question's going
You're
to go
saying
on.
this like you're the one editing this.
Ask the question.
Okay. So, how do you maintain friendships with people whose worldviews are drastically different from yours?
Don't
I
talk
know-
about.
I know both of you have.
Morgan Freeman said it when talking about race. Don't talk about it.
Yeah. Simple as that.
Exactly.
Don't talk politics. Don't talk your worldview.
But it's not that simple.
Well, yeah, I agree that it's not. You can't always do it. I think that people from, I think that Gen Xers and most millennials, that or at least the older version, of millennials, I think they can have conversations without, even if they're diametrically opposed on whatever issue, without without saying that you're going to disassociate yourself. You're going to divorce yourself from your family and friends. I do. There's an awful
Do you
lot
think?
of people.
Sorry, but Josh, you've got a son who's young. Do you think just the young people, politics is so much of their life because it's so entwined with what they do online that it's just too difficult for like a young person? Whereas we've talked about this before, like Mark, like back like 10, 15, 20 years ago, you had friends of different all over the political spectrum, and it was weird if you didn't,
It
right?
was weird if you didn't. Yeah. Oh yeah.
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 Well,
Now
let
it
me
seems
say
the opposite.
this generation that's coming up right now. What is it? Gen Alpha? Is that what it is?
Gen Z.
Gen Z, Gen Alpha, whatever. They're in your face constantly about this and about any aspect of politics, and they have their Instagram posts to back up stuff, which is third party, and third party. I don't know.
I know. I'm just Scott. I sent you the Bill Maher video. I'm over the Gen Z with the, Intifada revolution and and free this and free that, free unicorns, free Skittles gardens for everybody.
Skittles gardens.
All right, I'm over it. Yeah.
I mean, how many times can you debunk Marxism and everybody has to pay for something? Managers aren't evil.
They won't listen. They will not listen. No, they're so, and they. So the difference is that we were exposed to many different kinds of opinions, but we were never indoctrinated. We might have been influenced and heavily
That's a
influenced.
great line. That was I don't want to just slide past that. We were exposed to many different opinions, but we were never indoctrinated.
We were never indoctrinated. Young people today are literally fucking indoctrinated. They're indoctrinated in college. They're indoctrinated in school. They're indoctrinated in elementary school.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
Well, let's go back to, and I hate to put myself back in this position, but I was indoctrinated with the healthcare thing that we were talking about earlier, and I've managed to work my way.
you were
out.
not indoctrinated back then.
What's the difference?
You were influenced and held an opinion for a while, but because freedom rings where opinions clash, you heard other opinions over a period of time and
that's
changed.
What it is right there.
Right.
That's what
So it's the dogmatism that and ideological rigidity that young people today are that's being ingrained in young people today is terrifying. It's terrifying.
Yeah, Josh, you believe those things, but you would have never thought anybody was evil for believing otherwise, and you wouldn't chant on the streets with a fucking sign saying this is the only way to be, and anybody that doesn't do this is fucking evil.
Sure, absolutely.
Somebody without knowing me, when I said in the healthcare debate that it's insane to make Luigi Mangione your cult hero because he executed a guy because he executed somebody on a street corner, told me that everyone who thinks like I should, that everyone who thinks like I do should go kill themselves.
That's a bit extreme.
That's and I had to say to that person, I've been advocating for a public hospital system for 25 years. You don't know me. Go fuck yourself.
And they should lick your balls too. You might as well just.
They should lick your balls.
We got to wrap it up.
Well, it's time to wrap up. I think the next time we're going to hit questions 3 through 7, since we only got to 2 this time. And I'm just going to give you guys a little preview. What hill you're willing to die on, ideologically speaking?
Oh, that's easy.
Okay.
Well,
Well, we're not going to
answer
answer
it
it now. We're going to answer it next time. And
Josh, I just want to say I'm sorry. Next time we won't ruin your questioning with music videos and rants.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Take care. Cheers.